Welcome to the Nightlife Podcast. Have you ever dismissed a dream as just the pizza or your brain processing information while you sleep? More than we realize, our dreams are a goldmine of divine revelation hidden for us to discover, explaining deep mysteries and pictures and stories created for us by God. Once you realize this gift that has been yours all along, you'll never go back to spending the nightlife just sleeping. Can you believe it's April already? Just after an energizing week of warm spring weather, the snow is back. That's how seasons go, right? With the weather and just about every other aspect of life. As the saying goes, man plans and God laughs. Speaking of planning, I've got several episodes coming together I'm really excited about. I'm so thankful for everyone's willingness to share their dreams with others, no matter where they're at on their journey. Most of the people I get to talk dreams with are so inspiring. I leave our conversation convinced that they, not me, should take over podcasting from here. Today, I'm delighted to share an interview I recently had with Jessica, a prophetic artist who lives in Australia. After seeing her amazing artwork, I reached out to her, and we managed to arrange our Zoom call at a time when my night was her morning. I'll link her Instagram in the show notes so you can check her out. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast today.
You're very welcome. I'm very honored and grateful that you've asked me. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been looking at your stuff on Instagram and it's so amazing. So I'm really anxious to hear about how you got started and what your process is. Do you want to start by telling us about your prophetic art?
So God told me to start taking my art seriously about a year ago. So I started to see images that I wanted to paint and I created them digitally to create a reference, but I found I didn't really have the skill set to put it on the canvas. So I took a realism art course. It taught me discipline and to slow down, and it trained my eye to see, which is interesting because of the parallel of being a seer or a prophet is like the training yourself to slow down and to see. And that whole process trained me to see in the supernatural as well, like to slow down and listen. And I found I actually ended up enjoying it. And in the midst of that, I was towards the end of a very hard 3-year season of a health battle that I went through. So it was like a real step of faith to paint.
Wow.
And so the first painting that I did was of a lady. I based her on wisdom, actually, because when I was, my oldest daughter is 25. I have 6 children. And when she was about 9, I had a dream of wisdom and I always really wanted to paint her. And then it just got put on the shelf because I had all these children.
Yeah.
And I was homeschooling and, being a busy mum. So I just would journal it and jot it down. But the whole series that I did digitally actually was on wisdom, which I wanted to be able to paint, and I couldn't. And I still don't have the go-ahead to paint them yet. But the painting that I did, the first one that's on my site with the girl with the red hair, and she has the warrior stripes on her face and the wing that's in front of her face. So that's kind of a little bit of a representation of wisdom there and how she's with Yahweh and his wings. So that's actually his wing and his breath and his life she breathes in, and that's her substance. But then it started to become about me. So it was reflective of my journey because at that time I was kind of bedridden, really. I would drop the kids off to school and then I had to just rest, and I had to learn how to just come face to face before God and just breathe him in and let him sustain me. And then I'd get enough life to get up and I'd start painting. And
Wow.
So that's the story behind that, was showing the reality of being under his wing. Psalm 91 was very much real to me. And I actually cut out those scriptures and collaged them into the piece.
I saw that in one of your Instagram photos.
Yeah, I kind of haven't had the freedom to do much painting, but in my head and in my heart, I have painted.
Kind of like athletes who do, is it called visualization?
Yeah,
Or
but
even when
not
they're
like,
not physically practicing, they're visualizing. So that same practice might apply to artists as well. I'm not
yeah.
an artist, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
And it's not like I intentionally did that. I think God just wired me to be that way. I do remember, I think it's Albert Einstein talking about like if you can imagine it, you can do it. And I think that's like one of his keys of how he actually figured things out. I live this kind of multi-dimensional life. So I go to sleep and I'm talking to God and I go into heaven and we'll sort things out and there might be like just like personal things or governmental things. And then I'll dream and it'll either be political or spiritual warfare or something to do with me personally, or it'll be prophetic about someone else, or it'll just be like an encounter in heaven. Like I don't know what it will be, or it'll be about Jesus, which in the dreams I never know it's him, but when I wake up, the clue is his eyes, and I'm like, I saw you again, and I didn't, And then in the day, it's like more the seer thing kicks in with me, and I just will really strongly respond through an emotion or a feeling, or I will see something in my mind, and then I'll start to get obsessed about an image or a face or something that I've got to get on. I've got to release that feeling or that woman, and then it will start to unfold, and I'll go on Pinterest and I'll like search out this woman. Where is this lady? Or hair. I was obsessed with red hair for ages, and I had to
Wow.
find images with red hair and movement. Once I found that, then another image would come in that I had to find, so it would just like be layers. So some things are inspired from dreams, like angel wings, and my desire is to really release heaven into the earth, so I can give glimpses of that to people and show them the reality
Yeah.
and the beauty.
Dreams are obviously an encounter with the spirit realm. And then what you're seeing during the day prophetically is also in the spirit realm. It's like seeing into the spirit realm just in two different ways. So,
Yeah.
do your paintings have messages? Like, if God shows you something in your dream, might it inform a message that you feel is supposed to be conveyed through a painting?
Yes, so there's a piece that I want to paint soon, and it's of Jesus. And I really wanted to show him. Everyone seems to paint him with thorns on his head and like the cross,
Right.
like broken and people broken. And I really wanted to paint him as fierce and victorious.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. This is kind of strange, but I've always seen Mel Gibson's face and his eyes just really, really remind me of Jesus. And
Wow.
yeah, it's so strong. And I saw that about 6 years ago. And then I realized, well, he did The Passion of the Christ, which is interesting. And then I read that he actually was asked to act as Jesus in another film and he turned it down. So anyway, I actually used his face as a reference for this picture because I've seen him act and he does that unapologetic fierceness.
Yeah, like
Like,
Braveheart. I'm picturing him in Braveheart.
yeah. Yes. And
Yeah.
that's actually, I looked at Braveheart. It's like he's the only one that has that. I don't care. Kill
Yeah.
me if you want. He's
Yeah.
so just unhinged fierceness and
Wow.
passion.
I'm going to tell my daughter that because she's had two Jesus encounters in dreams, one when she was 9 and one when she was about 15, I think. I just learned this when I interviewed her that Jesus was the same in both of those dreams. And she has an unfinished painting. And I think the face is what she's hung up on because the way she described him was kind and so happy to see her.
I've wanted to paint him for a long time, but it just feels so holy that
Yes, I get
or
that.
sobering.
Hmm.
Sobering, actually. It has to be almost a commission to do it, I personally felt. And an artist that always inspired me was, I think you pronounce it, Akiane.
Yes.
Yeah.
When she painted Jesus as a young girl.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I remember her, like, so she had amazing encounters, but even like she needed a reference. So she prayed and was waiting for her reference to come to her. I think it took 9 months. And I think a man knocked on her parents' door and he was a carpenter and looked just like Jesus did. And she was stunned and
Yeah.
asked if he would be willing to be a model for her. And that's how she got her model. So it's very
Wow.
rare for an artist not to need a reference. That's like why we need to remember to write what we see down, because your mind just fades away.
Well, I want to ask you about your creative process as an artist and also as a dreamer.
Actually, I have a Bible verse that I really felt was relevant for today. Daniel chapter 2:22. It says, He reveals deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and light dwells with him. So Daniel's talking about God, and that was like a scripture, like a promise that I meditated on quite strongly, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Felt like that was important to me,
Yeah.
as like the giftings that he's given me and the experiences that I've walked through have felt similar to Daniel in a way, and also Joseph, I guess. And like the promise of what he's got for me. And I think for those who are dreamers and operate in the prophetic and the seer realm, that's like a key thing, that it's God that reveals the deep and secret things, and he knows what's in the darkness, and that light dwells in him, and that is for you, and then he wants to reveal that to you. And like there's seasons in your life where I had a season in my life, we moved to another state, and the kingdom of heaven realm was so open and free there. It was amazing. I saw so many things in it, and everything just felt really easy, and I wasn't on the defense all the time. It was just amazing. And then God asked us to move back to the state that we're in now, and it was just, it's hard, and
Yeah.
the warfare is tough, and it's tough, tough, tough. And I started to not dream as much, see as much. So it was like this Bible verse was like something he gave me to hold on to.
Yeah. How did you press through? What were some of the things you did to cultivate seeing, even though the spiritual atmosphere was less conducive to it?
Yeah. To desire to spend time with him no matter what you get. That it's not about what's in his hand, but it's about being in his heart. And, like if you are having a friendship with someone, you're about spending time with them, not about what they can give you. That's a true friend. So even though I longed to see more of him, and like I would cry and weep for it to see more, because it just felt like it was just a blockage all around, and like how long is this going to go on for?
Yeah.
But just stubbornly choose that I will close my door of my room and worship you and get on my face before you and just be happy if all I have is just to spend time reading your word, and not holding on to the past, which was good, which I still kind of learning
Yeah.
even after all this time, because it was such a sweet, sweet time.
Yeah.
And then I would dream, but it changed. It changed from amazing heaven encounters to more warfare stuff. And it was like he was toughening me up, and and I started to dream more political dreams and governmental dreams, and it's just different, not so sweet.
Yeah, even within the same place, I go through so many different types of dreams and types of seasons with God, where sometimes I'm hearing and dreaming and seeing all the time, and then other times it's just more dry. And I've been through these cycles long enough to not panic. But earlier in my walk, I became a believer as an adult. I would panic like, did I do something wrong? What's wrong? Where did you go? And that's where relying on his promise that he never leaves us or forsakes us, even when the encounters or the experiences aren't as rich. I've gotten the picture of a tree in a time of drought. Their roots go deeper, and that makes for a stronger tree. So I
Yeah.
can't say I fully understand how much of that is the spiritual atmosphere or things that I just can't see or know in the spirit realm or by God's design. I know there's different schools of thought and I don't really land anywhere. I just know that's been such a consistent part of my experience where I'm having a lot of military dreams in the last week. So I tend to
Yeah.
dream in themes. I'm really starting to notice that in the past few months, actually, where I'll have a lot of dreams of a certain type. And that's convenient because I build episodes based on types of dreams. So a lot of my episodes are built when I'm dreaming in a certain theme. But yeah, it makes sense. There's different things he's calling us to in different seasons. And
Yeah.
sometimes he's the good shepherd and he wants to draw us into the green pastures beside still waters and refresh us with his presence and his love. And we need that. And other times there's things he needs to show us and action we need to take in the spirit realm. I think being ready and willing for whatever it is, like you're saying, just showing up and letting
Yeah.
him determine what it's going to be.
Yeah, it was just such a season of becoming like a living sacrifice, just dying to yourself. And actually, I was just thinking, like the last 3, 4 years, I probably suspect this has happened to a lot of dreamers and seers and prophetic, that we've all probably been toughened up a bit and had a lot of governmental and political things to do and to get on with and orchestrate in the kingdom of heaven, because like on earth it has been crazy. So it's all for God, like it's not about us.
I started having a lot of political dreams starting in 2016, but that was before anything was hugely on my radar. I think now I'm like, okay, even if I can't see it in the natural, if I'm dreaming strongly in a certain area, I feel like that matured me to be ready for anything and be open to hearing anything, even if it wasn't even on the horizon on earth yet.
Yeah, actually, I remember 2016. I think that's when I started dreaming a lot about Donald Trump.
Me too.
Yeah.
I just did a political dreams episode. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or how I was going to do it, but I ended up taking all the names out. So I ended up presenting the dreams without saying which politician or president or political figure that was actually in the dream. I didn't know how to do it. And I really want to make it a podcast about dreams more than specific political ideologies. But the point
Yeah.
is, if people are paying attention to their dreams and paying attention to the Holy Spirit, they're going to get the messages they need to get, whether I mention what my dreams or other people's dreams have been specifically or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like the creative artist side of me would like, can't you allow me not to be a part of the political governmental stuff
I just want
or
to
the
paint.
warfare? Yeah, like can we just have the peace and the love, please? So it's like a double sword, sided sword, I guess. But
Right.
the point is that every prophet in the Bible is political. It
That's a
just
good point.
goes with it. You know, John the Baptist, look how he went after Herod. And even Jesus called him a fox. And then, of course, there's the Old Testament, because God cares. He cares about the world and he cares about the people. And actually, above this scripture that I just read, it says, "Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changes the times and the seasons. And he removes kings and he raises up kings. And he gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding." He's just so involved.
And politics, it hugely affects everything on the earth, every person. So why wouldn't God want to speak to that? And why wouldn't God reveal strategies in prayer, reveal his will to his people in that? We're
Because
the ones that are hesitant to engage.
yeah, because like even if you think about every reformation or revolution, it always challenged the current day Pharisees and also the political system that
Right.
was above it. So there's always going to be a confrontation and there's always going to be a battle, and then there's always a cost to his people that say yes.
So
Yeah.
it sounds like regarding dreams, you have heavenly encounter dreams, encounters with Jesus, encounters in the spirit realm. It sounds like you have political dreams. Are there any other types of dreams that is a prominent category that you dream in from time to time?
I dream dreams of angelic dreams.
Mm.
I've had dreams, actually. I want more of these type. Like, I can only like literally remember now maybe 2 cases of I feel like it happened. Trans relocation, I think that's what you call it.
Being translated to another place.
Yeah,
So you're the
yeah,
only person I've met. We're not in person, but we're face to face on a Zoom call.
yeah.
I actually have that in queue. I want to hear translation dreams. So I'll get in touch with you
Okay.
and you can share those. I've heard of them. I've heard of stories. I've just never talked to anyone personally. So do you have evidence that you actually went somewhere or do you think you went somewhere?
The only evidence, actually, I think I've had three. I'd have to go way back to a journal to find it, but one of them was like I was rescuing someone in a war-torn area.
Uh-huh.
And they hurt my arm or something, and I woke up and my arm was really, I couldn't really move it for a few days. Then I had another one where this is the most beautiful one I feel, and I hope that one day I meet this lady. I don't know if I will, but I was taken to a town that was snowing, and it looked like a dreamy Christmas village. And I live in Australia, and I live in the hottest part of Australia. There is no snow ever. And I remember looking at it was like cobblestone walkways and just beautiful old stone shop fronts and little cute cafes. And I just thought this was amazing. And I was walking down the village, and I looked into this cafe window, and I saw this lady, and she was wealthy, like she was a part of the upper circle of that town, and she was having tea with a group of ladies, but she kind of looked sad. And then I remember I followed her when she came out, and I probably have to find the dream to get the exact details, but I just remember she looked so sad. And then I found out, I don't know if it was revealed to me or she said it to me, that her husband had left her and she was actually destitute, like she actually was left with nothing.
Hmm.
And her friends didn't care. And it was almost like that was her last supper. And
Wow.
I followed her, and she went to a park, and she was all alone. And I just felt like I needed to give her money. I don't know if there was angels next to me or Jesus with me. It was like they were coaching me. I was like, I need to give her money. And then I'm not sure how I got the money. I'd have to read the dream back, but I got the money. And then I went up to her, and I think I put up my arms around her and told her that God loves her. And I gave her the money, and I remember her crying, and I think I prayed for her. And then I think I woke up. Anyway, that dream stuck with me, and it felt so real. I was like, this town has to be real. I did some research. I think I found it so quick. I think I found it on Pinterest, actually. It's Quebec in Canada. I was
Okay.
stunned.
Wow. I've had a few dreams where I think I went somewhere, and I've had a lot of dreams where I've wondered if I went somewhere, especially warfare dreams. And maybe we'll just know someday. But I've heard people having specific, like you said, your arm actually hurt in that one dream. If you actually looked online and saw this is an actual place you've never been before, but were some of the pictures on Pinterest, like, yes, that's it. But you've never been there before in real life.
No.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah,
I've heard of people dreaming of things that happen in the future. Like
yeah,
they will find themselves in a situation and go straight back to a dream they had, and then they know just what to do.
yeah.
Most of my dreams where I think I've been somewhere are going into witches' covens and
Wow.
preaching the gospel, or sometimes having like face-to-face warfare with a witch with words where the witch is cursing and I'm speaking the word of God. And I think just a few months ago, I saw this witch at night. She was floating around, and I was pursuing her, and I was telling her about Jesus, and I took her in my arms and was holding her like a mother would hold a child. And
Yeah.
I woke up and I was like, was that real? I don't know. I could never know. I know to some people that might sound crazy to think that was real and not just a dream. But like you said, it stuck with you. And when you
Yeah.
see someone and you have the impression, this is a real person, this is someone I've never seen before, yet I know they're a real person. And I just don't know why my own mind would or could make up that type of scenario. I kind of hope they
Yeah.
are real. I hope that we are able to go places in the spirit and do that kind of work, even in ways and places that we couldn't actually physically go.
Yeah, and like even like that dream you shared, you can tell that God is all over it because of the love that you are showing. Because witchcraft can be very intimidating and operates in fear. So the way that you just like perfect love casts out all fear, like the love.
And if those aren't real, then I think maybe they're preparation for a situation I'll actually encounter someday. And I'm open
Yeah.
to that possibility too. Have you ever had a dream where you received specific direction or a warning or wisdom, or, there's so many different types of dreams?
Yeah. I've definitely had dreams of warnings of and showing me what I need to pray for. I've had the witch dreams of and warring against them and attacks. They're not my favorite.
I don't think those are anyone's favorite. Again, I'd rather be painting.
That's been the one area that I have been quite fearful of and not wanted and been scared of from a child. And it's like God has had to take me on a journey where I've had to face it like full on and face fear, like layers and layers of fear. And I've had to deal with it, and I've had to deal with it in dreams. I've had to deal with it in reality. I don't even like that word because for me, the dreams they are real.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
We have to have some way to describe our waking life
yeah.
in contrast to our sleeping
Earth
life. But
life.
right. I wholeheartedly believe my dreams are real, but I do call
Yeah.
my waking life my real life.
Yes. There's some really practical, like just like God cares about your everyday life dreams,
hmm
which I think is really special.
And as a
Um,
mother of six children, I'm sure you've had some parenting dreams
oh yes.
where God is speaking to you about your children or helping
Yes.
you see them, understand them.
Something that I trained myself to do, I think it was 3 years ago in the thick of everything, was to pray in tongues day and night. So it was easy in the day, but kind of hard on the flesh. But then at night to train myself, like as I'm going to sleep, pray in tongues, and then every time I'd wake up, because I do wake up through the night, and I often wake up maybe 2 or 3 times, train myself, start praying in tongues until it just became the normal thing. I would just be praying in tongues without thinking about it, and then I'd find if I start to get stressed or worried or fearful, it would just kick in and I just start praying in tongues. It's interesting that then overflows into like the Holy Spirit giving you wisdom into everyday situations that just creep up on you in your dreams, in your giftings, like in my art. It just flows like it, and it strengthens you.
Yeah, that's an amazing way to keep our spiritual connection strong.
Yeah, and I was thinking, imagine if all of God's people did that, how in tune we'd be.
And
Yeah,
that's my passion with dreams. To me, dreams are the low hanging fruit. Even unbelievers are having dreams. I was having dreams from God before I ever knew who he was. So I feel like the whole world is dreaming. And I'm just excited to get people to start paying attention to their
yeah,
dreams that are happening. And then once you cultivate that, all the rest just opens up from there.
yeah. Like because Nebuchadnezzar dreamed and Daniel dreamed, but Daniel was able to interpret. So his wisdom was higher than all of the witches and warlocks, whatever they were called back then,
Right.
that were on staff.
And Pharaoh dreamed, and
Yeah,
that was to save an entire nation.
yeah,
So it's all through history. There have been inventors who have dreamed and gotten inventions in their dreams. You mentioned Einstein. I think the theory of relativity came from a
I
dream.
think
He had a dream
I
about
think so.
sledding or something like that.
Yeah,
And the movie Avatar came from the director's dream. It's such a universal
yeah.
experience.
That brings back a memory. I have not been recording my dreams for the last 4 or 5 months, and I need to start doing it again. I just got to the point where it just felt too personal. Have you ever had that? It just feels too personal that it felt like this is just special between me and you, God, and I don't want to write it down. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's not for anyone else. It's just us.
Yeah.
But I did have like an avatar type dream, and that's all. I can't remember anything else because I didn't write it down. But it was really special and it was powerful, and I can't remember. And it made me think that was a little droplet from heaven. That movie, those movies.
Wow.
We,
In this season, I write down all my dreams, but I do, like you're saying, I think, is someone going to read these someday? It's not like I want to say I hope not, but they are so personal. And my process is really for me, between me and God. I write anything and everything that comes to mind, and then I go back through and highlight what resonates. And there's a lot that doesn't resonate. That's just my process. I throw it all down on paper and then go back and refine it. And then if I have time, I'll rewrite it with actually the message I think God is speaking. When I was in the busy season of motherhood, I would have to wake up early and still my time was cut short. So I didn't have the luxury of putting it all on paper. I had to be a little bit more efficient. But my dream life has exploded since I've had more time because when you're writing out, more details come, more dreams come. It helps to not get into the mode where you're about to start your day, to stay, some people call that the liminal space, but where your brain is still kind kind of buzzy. So I try to
Yeah.
stay in that space. And actually, artists do this as well. Secular artists. I don't know if you've heard of people trying to get into the liminal space between sleep and wakefulness because your creative capacity is heightened. Like in the other place you lived in, you
Yeah.
said the veil was so thin. Your
Mhm.
connection to the spirit realm was so easy. Well, that's how I find the space between sleep and wakefulness when I'm most likely to hear an audible voice or see a vision or receive a really specific message. It's going to
Yeah.
happen right then.
It's so true. I actually remember I used to kind of train myself in that area. Like last night or the night before, I dreamt about myself actually as a little 2-year-old, and I was running on a bridge and it went off into a forest, and the person that was looking after me allowed it and shouldn't have, and my adult self was standing there and yelling at that person like, how could you, like I was accusing them and you should be doing better, and I was really worried about this little girl. I didn't realize it was me. And then she came out of it, and then she came back on the bridge, and there was like water on each side. And I remember looking at her, just thinking, she's so cute. Look, like she's so happy. Look at her cheeks and her eyes. I just thought she was the cutest little girl. And then I was like really concerned. I felt like she was in danger, and she just fell off the bridge into the water. And I'm yelling at the person saying, you need to protect her, because I felt like I was just a bystander, like watching this scene unfold, and they wouldn't do anything. And then I felt empowered that I could do something. So I
Hmm.
went to the water and I pulled her out, and it was really weird. Suddenly I felt like I was God. Like I felt like I was God's hand
Wow.
pulling this child out. And then as I woke up, I realized it was me, that that little girl was me.
You
And
just
then
knew that, or you
I knew
realized
it.
looking
I
at
like,
her that she looked how you used to look at that age?
yeah.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah, like it just hit me. And then as I woke up and I was in that half awake state, I heard God say, could kind of see him, and it just boomed and it said, I will vindicate you. It was like so, yeah, just like, and very fierce and bold, like strong.
Wow, that's powerful. I'm sure you've heard of faith picturing, where you go back to painful times in your life and find Jesus. Where was Jesus with you? And it's
Mhm.
usually as when you're a little child, but to me, that's almost a form of faith picturing. Like, how much do you love and cherish and want to advocate for and protect and rescue that little child? And then here's God. Seeing her through your eyes and then God's eyes. That sounds really healing. If there was a
Yeah.
time in your life, can you correlate that to something that was happening to you at that time of your life where that brought healing to you even now?
It feels a little bit raw and precious and still unfolding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still unfolding. I haven't sat down and fully analyzed it yet. I'm kind of in the emotional processing part.
That's where journaling is so valuable to me. And if it's a multiple days or weeks process, I like being able to go back and read what I had written because it helps me kind of enter back into what I was processing last time I left off. I've been going through in the last 6 months, really, a lot of healing dreams from the past season because we were so busy. I just feel like God is taking me back over the last season and framing things for me that I couldn't see then to bring
Yeah.
clarity and bring healing and prepare me for what's next. So I feel like He's given me this space where we've come out of that really busy season of parenting, but we haven't yet started what's next. And it feels
Yeah.
really precious. And He's telling me, don't get busy here and don't rush out of this. Just be present and let me do the work I'm going to do. Sometimes I wake up and I think, oh, thank you for those dreams. I feel so encouraged, so seen, so
Yeah.
loved, whatever, whatever. And other mornings I wake up and I think, I'm not sure I want to go here. I'm not sure I want to talk about this. I'm not sure I
No.
want to see this. But I do because I've learned to trust him. We don't want to refuse anything that he's bringing up. One of my episodes is on dreams that require, I think I titled it Personal Dreams, but just about being honest, just showing up honest. There's so much privacy in the nightlife because we are sleeping. And I don't know about you, but most of the time when I dream, I'm alone and it just feels really personal and private.
Yeah.
So, in the privacy of that space, and then when I can process those dreams with the Lord in the morning, I just feel an aspect of privacy where I can be completely open and transparent and honest. And we can talk about hard things, things that I'm afraid of, things that hurt me, things that I'm embarrassed of.
Yeah.
Seasons that were hard that I got through by grit, but I still need to go back so I can come through not just having survived that season, but actually healed and whole and strong for what's ahead.
Yeah, it's bringing back to remembrance a prophetic word that I think his name's Craig Clooney.
I've never heard of him. Is he Australian?
No, he's actually, I think he's Irish, but he lives in America.
Okay.
I think his site's called Daily Prophetic, but he was talking about, so like when you're just coming out of one season and you're about to go into a new season, but there's that transition, and he calls it the hallway.
Yeah.
And
Which in a dream,
yeah,
that's usually what hallways represent in dreams.
yeah. So he was like, there's a preciousness, and what do you do in the hallway?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
you said you have a dog. So do you ever tell your dog, does your dog obey the stay command?
One does.
One does? Okay. But so you know the concept. That's the way I feel, for lack of better explanation, what God has
Yeah,
told me in this season. Like if I were to tell my dog to sit and stay, it's like he has his hand out and he's like, just stay here,
yeah,
stay with me. It's a secret place season for sure. And I started the podcast. So there's some purpose in this season as well, but a lot is happening. And I realize my tendency to avoid the deeper things by being busy. If I
yes,
have time, I'll fill it. And that can be a really big tactic of avoidance in my life,
yeah,
is just being busy and doing the fun thing instead of being a little more intentional to invest in the inward, in my inner world. That's what I'm trying to
yeah.
say. That's where I'm at.
And it's funny because like you say about the dogs, so like some dogs are really obedient and some you need to like use your really firm voice to say,
Right.
you know, and and that relates to us.
For sure.
Some of us need a little bit more treat training and
Yeah, that's true. I can say I've come a long way, but it's always still in my nature to resist or feel that tension.
like I'll stay, but then when he gives me something to linger for a while,
Yeah.
not just okay, I got it, write it down. Next thing, like to just stay and linger and just be with him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, having more time with my dream interpretation process in this season, I do that more. Maybe this is similar to your artistic process in painting, but I'll write out the dream, write out some possible meanings, and then I'll stop. And I do this every time, but it's becoming more of a practice of mine to stop and let my mind have space to go different directions. Like, I had a dream. You said you dreamed of Trump. Last night, I had a dream. He was running on this beach. There was like this two military operations going on, and he was running
yeah,
on this beach, and I passed him. And so I couldn't tell if he was running towards something bad or if he was running towards a bad situation to help. It
okay,
wasn't clear. It's still not quite clear, but I just sat with the image and tried to listen or watch for anything else that would come to mind, any different way to look at it. And then
yeah,
another possible interpretation is that that was the period of time while he was running for office. And
yeah,
I didn't see that initially until I sat with it. So I think sitting with pictures, sitting with words, sitting with the metaphors of our dreams, it's
mm,
amazing what will happen and what opens up. It's like our life, it tends to constrict our thinking to just what's practical and
yeah,
logical. And so the creative process requires to come out of that and just let it blossom. It's kind of like a flower that closes. And then when we give it space, to expand and open up. And then there's
yeah.
fragrance and layers, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger the longer we sit with something. Do you experience
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So, because I was thinking when I have those types of dreams, like most of the dreams, and I always ask for what do you want me to do about it? I feel like you're not sharing this with me to just write in my journal. What
Right.
is the action plan? Like, I guess a bit military, like I
Yeah,
like what is the action plan? And
absolutely.
I really feel and believe that as Christians, God's angelic army is like we work with them on the earth. And so most times there's a strategy strategy, and then there's a releasing of the angel armies to go deal with that in this way. There's a sending
Hmm.
out. So like a burden will come upon me and a wrestling, and I won't be at ease until that strategy is released, and then it's decreed, and then it's done, and then it's like then it's gone, lifted, and then it is like back to flowers and unicorns.
Yeah.
Chocolate cake, whatever. But I was thinking, like your analogy of the flower opening and blooming. The whole point of a flower opening and blooming is so that it can be fruitful and multiply,
That's good.
for it to be fertilized, I guess.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage other dreamers out there that it's not for nothing, and it's not just for you, and it's for the equipping of God's people. It's for moving and shaking what He needs to be done on earth. It's for releasing the kingdom of heaven on earth, and it's for His will to be done on earth. Like it's one of His communication strategy, intel operation things, like it's something to be really grateful for. And like if you're finding that you only have a dream now and then, and you desire for more, it's like learning to turn your face to it, learning to turn your face to God when you do hear that little whisper or any little experience. Like don't brush any of it off, and learning to turn to Him and honor it and value it
Yeah.
and gratitude, and then you'll find that it will start to unfold and more will come, and that practice of like turning to Him and gratitude and honor.
That's probably how I would have wrapped up our interview, is to ask you, what encouragement would you give to dreamers? So in your art, in your dreaming, in any encounters you have with the spirit, I hear you saying honor. I hear you saying don't dismiss the encounter and don't fear the encounter or fear what the encounter might lead you into. Turn toward God and more will open up as you honor what He is inviting you into.
Yeah, like when Joseph shared his dream, his brothers hated him. Like when you're just starting this, there's often going to be, you probably will encounter that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you will. And that's good. That's good for you because it will toughen you up. And you just have to, if no one values you and all that values you is God, good. That's a good thing to learn and learn it quick.
So much of my life has been engaging with my dreams personally. And anyone who knows me personally knows dreams are probably going to come up in the conversation. But to put it out there on a podcast really did
Yeah,
feel vulnerable because I'm letting anyone hear this very personal part of my life and putting yourself out there that people might think it's weird or people might think you're dreaming nothing and making all of this meaning out of it that doesn't really exist. Even other believers, I've heard other
oh
believers
yeah.
say dreams are just dreams. Dreams is the realm of chaos. People I really respect actually in certain fields say,
Mhm.
oh, the dreams are the realm of chaos. Just pretty much ignore them. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what? How could you
no,
think that? Have I could because almost everyone I've ever met has had a significant dream that pointed to something in their life or showed them something that they couldn't have otherwise known. It's just such a universal experience. So, yeah, it
well,
can be
yeah.
vulnerable putting it out there.
Well, I would like to say to into that, there's all different types of streams of Christianity out there, but people, no matter like how much you hold them up on a pedestal, they're still people. They have opinions and they have a right to their opinions and thoughts, but that doesn't mean it's truth. And the word of God is truth. And dreams never died out in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, and they were always used and they always will be.
And I think I
And
knew
yeah,
that even before I was a believer. I knew there was a dream giver, even before I knew it was God, before I believed in Jesus and understood much of anything. It was
yeah,
undeniable to me.
yeah. Dreams can be chaos if you got chaos in you. Actually, dreams can be used to clean out your chaos. If you're not being diligent doing it in your waking hours, God
In
can
your
use
real
dreams.
life.
Yeah, in your real life.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Well, I love talking with you. I would love to hear a little bit
Thank
more
you.
before we close about you're building a new art studio. Do you sell your prophetic art? And then I'll, of course, link you in the show notes. But tell us a little bit about your art
Okay.
business. Do you call it a business?
Yes. So I would have liked to have had set up a website, set up links, had my art professionally scanned and ready and print on demand, all set up before I started on Instagram. But God said, do it now. So I wasn't allowed to do it the perfected way that I would have really, really liked to have done it. So
Yeah.
I am just on the fly at the moment, and we're building an extension which has a nice new big art studio for me, filled with light, and it will look professional for filming. At the moment, I've just been painting in my bedroom, in my husband and I's bedroom, which was not ideal. But again, God said, just start with what you've got. So I obeyed him in that. And it's been like a end of pregnancy stage for me. Very annoying. Nothing fits. The lighting's terrible. The wall color, like it's just bleh. And yeah, I just had, so what, get over it and just start. And I will be selling the originals, and I will be selling them as prints. Oh, and God told me, I want you to just stop for 3 weeks and do some studies on social media, and also just like really like go deep on what my brand is and everything. And just in the last few days has been making it clear that there's going to be 2 businesses. So
Okay.
one will be for the prophetic, my like specifically very like heaven culture, unapologetically Christian art. And then the other one that I will start is going to be to the marketplace, and that will be home decor and doing wallpaper and that area. So this seems really big and crazy.
Yeah. And exciting.
Very, very exciting. And yeah, I've been wanting to go into that for a very long time. So it's like all my children are in school now, and I have all the time in the day. And so it will happen. You just have to private message me on Instagram, and I can put your name on a waiting list if you want a print of anything you like, or if you're interested in the real deal. I'm thinking that they will be probably $900 US. So this one I painted the girl with the unicorn. If you're just listening, you can have a look on the Instagram page. So at that time, I just had to have bed rest, and my mind and my body was very, very weak and healing. Maybe I could share that part of my journey another time. But
Yeah.
oh, and I had a lot of witchcraft attack against me, and I didn't fully understand it at that point, but God was teaching me how to deal with it. Like it was very strong, like it was bad. And so my mind, I couldn't even think what to pray. And I remember suddenly I just thought, just ask Jesus to intercede for you. So I asked him, and then suddenly I felt clarity. And then he showed me some more proper warfare things to pray. And then my strength returned, and then I'd get up and I'd start to paint. And through that whole journey, I saw he has an army of white horses that are unicorns, and he calls them his lightning army. And he showed me also that scripture in Isaiah, I think it's 40:40, about his key of the house of David, and that what he shuts no man can open, and what he opens no man can close. That he's using that key and giving me that key. So I painted this woman, and it shows the lightning bolt, the gold lightning striking from heaven, and it's going through her mind and into her body, and the tears that she's crying, they are precious to him, and he holds them and he collects them. And the gold that is struck on her face, it's like a marking that's come on her, that like in this world beauty standards, no markings on your face, but in heaven it's powerful, and there's a marking of his lightning on her. And there's the key of the house of David that's been placed on her shoulder, but one of the keys, part of it is joy, because the joy of the Lord is your strength, and his love, which is on her fabric as well. I wrote that in, which is perfect love casts out all fear. So like the keys of the kingdom of heaven, of dealing, one of them anyway, of dealing with witchcraft coming against you, especially if you've had like physical effects, is the joy of the Lord starts to fill you with strength. Is very powerful, and his love, his perfect love, will just break that fear and intimidation. And then on the unicorn, there's a lot of gold on his hoofs, and on his horn, the horn of strength. His oil is in the horn, and I've written on the unicorn, strength and love. So it's like the unicorn, his army is breaking through and coming to rescue and deliver her. And yeah, his keys are there of healing and lightning, and he's crowned her with beauty and joy and love and the life, the flowers of life. And roses are very special to me. They're very symbolic of Jesus as well. I just instinctively know that he loves roses. So it's like his crown that he placed on her head.
It's so beautiful. All of your art. It's just
Thank you.
so textured and colorful and meaningful in ways I don't even comprehend just looking at it. But as I hear you explain it, it's really rich.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting because with the stream of for the prophetic art and mainly Christian women, I believe it will be for to really bring healing and peace and encouragement to them. I feel it will be rich and it will be high textured and a lot going on. And then I see that he's showing me, but for the marketplace, it's going to be pulled back and simplified and refined. It'll be different.
I get
So
that. I
yeah.
actually had a deliverance from a prophetic painting. It was being painted. I was at a conference. I went happy. I had no problems I mean, everyone has problems, but I didn't go to this conference with any problems at the forefront of my mind. And the first night during worship, I was looking at this painting and I start crying out to God from this really deep place. I end up crying my guts out, begging him for freedom, not from a place of comprehension. It was just fascinating. And so it was a week-long conference. I went back home and I felt so different. You know, when you go to a conference and you come back home, usually within an hour, your happy
Yes.
feelings are gone and you're back in life. And something was different. Something left me. And I literally just felt lighter. And then I didn't realize it was anxiety. But about a month later, I was having a really stressful day. I felt it was back. And I said, "Oh God, it's back. What do I do?" And he said, "It's a yoke. Stop taking it." So I said,
Wow.
"Okay, I'm a baby in all of this. I just talk
Yeah.
to the Lord and do what he shows me." And I mean, I'm not a baby now, but I'm just saying I feel like a baby all the time.
Yeah,
Most of
well,
the
it's
time.
just with a childlike heart.
Right. So I just said, "Okay, yoke of anxiety, I break you off, don't come back." And it didn't come back. So I've had days that are stressful for sure. I've had seasons that are very stressful for sure, but something left me. And it was
Yeah,
that painting that was being painted connected with my spirit and prompted me to pray and beg God for freedom. And I'm not even really an advocate of begging in prayer, but that's what happened. That's
yeah,
that's what came out and that's how it went. And it's like I just feel so loved and seen that he'll give me what I need. He'll meet me as long as I'm open to him. So I had a deliverance through that. And then several years later, I had a deliverance in a dream. And I woke up and I said, "God, I think that was real. What was that?" And he told me what it was. And I was like, "Thank you." So I'm always just like, I don't know what's there. I don't know what I need most of the time, but I've encountered him meeting me in needs I didn't even know I had so many
yeah,
times. I just walk in so much trust.
yeah, it's beautiful.
So I ended up buying that painting. So
Wow.
I am wholeheartedly excited about prophetic artwork and all that you're doing. And I hope our listeners will go look at what you're doing and that God's going to do great things through your
Yeah,
ministry and through your business.
thank you. And if the listeners, if you're not artists, but you wish that you could, put something on your walls or express something of the kingdom of heaven as a piece of art, just start with colors. So, like, just ask the Holy Spirit to give you maybe three colors and what they represent to you, and just play with it on a canvas. Just go fully abstract.
That would be my style.
Yeah,
I try to paint sometimes. I try watercolor, acrylic. I'm never happy with it because there's a technique to it. But like you're
Mhm.
saying, there's something with the process, and it is something I want to grow more into. So thank you
Yeah,
for that encouragement.
yeah.
I look forward to hearing from you again with
Me
some
too.
more of your dreaming. But thank you so much for being interviewed today. It was nice talking with you.
And thank you so much for having me. It was awesome.
Thanks so much for your willingness to share, Jessica. I'm always fascinated at how similar and also how unique each of our dream lives can be when I talk to other dreamers. Wherever we're at on our journey of dreaming and faith, connecting with others can always enrich our process. If you have dreams to contribute, please reach out to me using the contact button on my website, www.thenightlife-podcast.com. Also, let me know if you have recommendations for future episodes, need help interpreting a dream, would like to share via audio or video, or if you're interested in being interviewed on the show. Whether you find yourself happy or struggling with the weather or life, I want to encourage you to keep dreaming big, believing that opportunities for better things are just around the corner. Thanks for listening.